I gave my sister $50,000 for her dream wedding. But when I saw my name on a sticky note by the bathroom, I took it back and watched her perfect day fall apart in real time. My name's Leo. I'm 31, and until recently, I thought I had a decent relationship with my younger sister, Haley. We weren't exactly the finish each other's sentences type of siblings, but I showed up when it mattered. Birthday gifts, holiday flights, last-minute Venmo transfers when her rent was short. Nothing over the top, just quiet support. I always figured that's what family was for. We had our differences, sure. She was always more dramatic, the center of attention type, while I preferred staying on the sidelines. But we coexisted fine, at least I thought we did. Haley got engaged last year to a guy named Mason. He was fine, bland, a little too into crypto, but he made her laugh, and he had good hair, so I figured he'd do. My parents were over the moon. Haley was the golden child, the youngest, the one everyone coddled. When they got engaged, it was like the family went into overdrive, bridal showers, engagement brunches, endless group chats about centerpieces and color palettes. I sent a congratulatory gift and mostly stayed out of it. That is, until I got a call from Haley. "Leo, I need a huge favor," she said, her voice syrupy and sweet. "We're a little short on the final venue payment, like really short." I asked how short. She hesitated, then dropped it casually, "About $50,000. I choked. "You're joking." "No, but like it wouldn't be a loan, more like a wedding gift. I mean, I'm your only sister, Leo, and Mom said you've been doing really well lately." To be fair, I had been doing well. I'd sold my app startup 6 months earlier and was in the process of launching something new. Money wasn't a problem at that moment, and Haley knew it. Still, the number stung. I hesitated. "That's a lot to just give away, Hales." She immediately switched to guilt mode. "You didn't come to my dress fitting or my engagement dinner. You're always distant, and now you can't even help on my wedding day?" I could feel the setup tightening around me. I sighed. "Fine, but I want it to be a surprise. I'll bring it the day of." "Okay, no fanfare," she squealed, thanked me a dozen times, and hung up. That should have been my first red flag. The wedding was set at this swanky vineyard about an hour outside the city. I arrived early, dressed in a tailored suit, envelope in my pocket, the kind of envelope that weighed nothing but could pay off someone's student loans. I walked past the string quartet and the flower walls and made my way inside, looking for the guest table to find my seat. That's where everything started to go sideways. There was a massive seating chart at the front. Hand-calligraphed names, golden accents, cute little wax seals next to the names of important guests. I scanned the list. My parents were at table 2. Haley's friends were scattered across the front. I kept looking and looking. No Leo. I thought maybe they'd forgotten, so I walked to the reception area to see if I could find my place card manually. I checked the main tables. Nothing. Then I walked toward the far side of the room, past the caterer station, past the back exit, until I saw a single folding chair placed awkwardly by the bathroom hallway. Taped to the back was a sticky note, scribbled in pen, "Leo." I stared at it for a long second, genuinely thinking it had to be a mistake, like maybe someone was pranking me or it was a placeholder. But nope, no joke, no real seat, just me and the faint scent of air freshener from the guest bathroom. Before I could even react, I heard a voice behind me. "Well, not everyone's important enough for the main table," someone said with a light, condescending laugh. I turned. It was Mason's mother. I'd only met her once before, briefly, and we hadn't exchanged more than a few sentences, but her tone was unmistakable, smug, dismissive, like she'd been waiting for this moment. I looked around the room again. Every table had name cards, thick cardstock, gold trim, personalized calligraphy. Even Haley's dog, who was being toted around in a floral collar by a bridesmaid, had a custom place card in a high chair near the front. And I had a sticky note. Something in me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like when a light bulb dies mid-flicker. I walked back to the entrance where the gift table was piled with boxes and envelopes. Mine was sitting right on top, an ivory-colored box with a silk ribbon, inside a plain white envelope with a check for $50,000. I picked it up. No one noticed. Everyone was too busy clinking glasses and taking selfies under the Haley plus Mason Forever neon sign. I turned, walked back toward the main reception area, and stood near the edge of the dance floor. Then I said it, calmly, loud enough to carry but not so loud that it sounded like a performance. Didn't realize a $50,000 check only bought me a spot next to the toilets. Everything stopped. The music didn't at first, but the energy in the room flatlined. People turned. Someone gasped. One of Haley's friends whispered something, eyes wide. And then I heard it. Mason, from behind the bar setup, whispering, "Wait, you're taking it back?" I didn't answer. I just turned and walked out the front doors, past the valet, past the sign that said love, laughter, and happily ever after, and straight into the warm vineyard dusk. I could hear someone running behind me. It was Haley, barefoot, breathless, wedding dress hiked just enough to reveal one mud-splattered heel. She came sprinting down the gravel path like she was chasing the end of a rom-com, except there wasn't anything romantic about the look on her face. It wasn't love or heartbreak, it was panic. Not the kind of panic that comes from losing a sibling, but the kind that comes when a safety net snaps. "Leo," she called out. "Leo, stop, what are you doing?" I didn't stop. I didn't slow. I kept walking toward my car, my grip tight on the box, my heart pounding, but not from nerves, from something colder. Years of biting my tongue, years of being the afterthought, the wallet, the fallback plan. She caught up right as I reached my door and grabbed my arm. "Are you seriously going to ruin my wedding over a stupid seat?" I turned and stared at her. That dress cost more than a down payment. Her hair had been done by someone they flew in from LA. She was glowing in that filtered, Instagram-ready way she always aimed for, and she had the audacity to call my reaction ruining her big day. I raised an eyebrow. "A stupid seat?" She flinched, just a little, but held her ground. "You knew where they were putting me," I said, my voice low. "You knew and you didn't stop it." She hesitated. "It's not like that." "No?" I stepped forward. "Then tell me why the dog got a real seat and I didn't." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "Tell me," I continued, "why the guy who helped you make that final venue payment is sitting next to a mop bucket while the DJ gets to sit with Grandma." "Leo, please," she whispered. "You're making a scene." That hit me harder than I expected. You're making a scene, not "I'm sorry," not "let's fix this," not "you're right." Just a tidy little accusation that I was the problem. "Yeah," I said, half laughing. "God forbid I mess up your curated fairy tale." She looked like she was going to cry, and for a moment I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered something. 3 weeks ago I asked her if I could bring a +1, a girl I'd been seeing, someone I really liked. Haley's reply? "This wedding's kinda for family and VIPs. I'm trying to keep the vibe clean. You understand, right?" At the time I let it slide. I didn't want to argue. But now I saw the pattern. "I never mattered to you," I said. "Not really. I was useful until I wasn't." "That's not true," she said, finally snapping out of her shocked silence. "You're my brother, Leo. I love you." I tilted my head. "Then why does it feel like I'm only invited when there's a bill involved?" She didn't answer. Her lip quivered, but I could see the frustration simmering just beneath the surface. She wasn't sorry about me. She was sorry she might have to explain this to Mason, or, worse, to her photographer when the family shots were missing the guy who footed the tab for half the wedding. The silence between us stretched. I opened the car door, set the gift box on the passenger seat, and turned back to her one last time. "I was going to give this to you with a toast," I said. "Something sweet, something honest about how, even when we didn't get along, I still believed in you. I thought this day was about celebrating love. Turns out, it was just about seating charts and appearances." "Leo, congratulations, Haley," I said, sliding into the car. "Hope your marriage has more respect than your guest list." I closed the door before she could say another word. As I drove down the gravel road, I glanced at the rearview mirror. She was still standing there in her wedding dress, surrounded by perfectly trimmed hedges and fairy lights, staring after me like she just realized something wasn't coming back. When I got back to the city, my phone was already lighting up. Missed call from Mom, missed call from Dad, text from Mason. "Dude, what happened? Group chat, Leo, where are you? Please don't do this right now." That last one made me laugh. Please don't do this. As if I had caused the problem. As if I was the one who stuck a sticky note on a folding chair and called it gratitude. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I poured a glass of scotch, sat on my balcony, and opened my laptop. Because what no one realized was that the check wasn't just money. It was a transaction, one with strings. See, the money had been going into a joint investment account I'd set up for Haley and Mason, one that wasn't technically theirs yet. It was structured to mature after a year. In the meantime, it was sitting pretty under my name in a brokerage that still required my approval for transfers. So, no, I wasn't just taking back a check. I was pulling the rug out from under a fantasy they'd already budgeted for. And the fallout? Well, the fallout didn't come all at once. It rolled in slow, like a storm building over the course of days, each cloud darker than the last. At first, it was just the buzzing, the endless notifications, missed calls, group chats that had previously been dead for months now suddenly exploded with life. Haley tried first, the morning after the wedding. I woke up to 12 missed calls and a voice message that started calm and teetered toward unhinged. "Leo, please, just call me back. I didn't mean to make you feel unimportant. It was a stressful day. There were so many people and so much going on, and beep." Then came the follow-up. Okay, I'm trying really hard here. You've made your point. You embarrassed me on my wedding day, and fine, I get it. But that money was promised, Leo. We signed agreements based on it. We can't just undo everything because of a stupid seat. That one made me pause. We signed agreements. They had already spent the money, which, of course, meant the house they were planning to close on next month, that was no longer happening. The honeymoon to Tuscany, with the 5-star culinary experience already booked and non-refundable? That's the thing about fantasy weddings. They're often built on IOUs and assumptions, and in this case, one very specific assumption, that I'd always come through. And to be fair, I usually did, but this time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt calm, controlled for once. By Monday, the tone shifted. My parents called. My mom left a voicemail that was 47 seconds of shallow breathing, then a shaky, "Leo, I don't know what happened between you and your sister, but please call her. Fix this. Fix this." That phrase hit me sideways, like I was the leak and my job was to patch things up. As if being humiliated publicly, then having my value reduced to a dollar amount, wasn't enough. Now I was expected to fix it. Then my dad texted, "This is petty. I don't know what she did, but weddings are chaotic. You should have just talked to her instead of pulling this stunt. Yes, you're overreacting." Classic. The message wasn't new. I'd heard versions of it my whole life. When Haley got into screaming matches as a teen and slammed doors, my parents would say, "Let her cool off." When I brought up how she never once acknowledged my graduation, they said, "She's not great with dates. Don't take it personally." When she borrowed money and ghosted repayment plans, they said, "She's your sister." But me? I was expected to be mature, quiet, consistent, dependable, the invisible scaffold holding everything up. Never praised, never centered, but absolutely expected. That night, I got a message from Mason. "Hey man, I don't want to get in the middle of this, but Haley's a mess, and I mean, this isn't just about the money. This is about trust. You promised us that money. We signed a lease. We're under contract. Please don't let one seating chart ruin our future." I stared at it for a long time, and then I replied, "You didn't even notice I wasn't seated at a real table. Your future was never my responsibility." He didn't respond. The next day, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, but listened to it. It was a man from the real estate agency handling Haley and Mason's new home. Apparently, they listed me as a silent guarantor without the funds hitting the account. Their financing would fall through. They never even asked. That was the last thread I needed cut. I called the agency back, gave them a firm, professional, legally clear response. I was unaware my name was being used in that way. I revoke any verbal or assumed commitment. I will not be guaranteeing any part of this transaction. The agent was polite, "Understood, sir." And just like that, the dream house was gone. By Wednesday, Haley's calls had stopped. My family group chat went quiet, save for one cousin dropping a vague meme about snakes in the grass. Cute. Thursday morning, I opened Instagram. Haley had posted a photo from the wedding, her and Mason framed under a floral arch, captioned with, "Even when people try to ruin your day, love wins." The comments were a mix of sympathy and confusion. A few mutual friends messaged me privately, "What happened? You good? Why is she being so shady?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because the real fallout hadn't hit her yet. That came Friday at 8:41 in the morning. My phone rang. I recognized the number, my lawyer's office. I picked up. "Leo," my attorney said, calm and crisp, "you asked me to freeze the account access earlier this week. That's been processed. But we just got a notice from Haley's financial advisor. She attempted to liquidate the investment early. We informed them she has no legal right to do so." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "Good. There's more," he said. "Apparently she's now claiming the check was a promise gift. She wants to file a grievance." I laughed. "Let her. Because here's the kicker, I never gave them the money. I wrote the check, yes, but it wasn't signed. Slipped into the box with a note, 'Let me know if you ever see me as more than just a wallet. Then we'll talk.' They never opened the envelope, they just assumed. Assumed I'd roll over. Assumed I'd play my part. Assumed I wouldn't walk away. Now they were finding out what it meant when I did, but the real storm hadn't hit yet. That came the following week when the wedding photographer sent out the full gallery. Hundreds of shots posted publicly on the studio's page. And there I was in none of them. Not a single photo. No candid smiles, no family portraits, no sibling shots. It was like I never existed. Until the comments started rolling in, "Where's the brother? Didn't Haley have a brother? Wait, wasn't Leo the one who helped fund this venue? I heard a rumor about the gift. Can someone confirm?" And then, finally, one brave aunt dropped the truth in the comments. He walked out. They stuck him by the bathrooms. Still can't believe they did that to him. The silence after that was deafening. She showed up 3 days later. No warning, No text, just a sharp knock on my apartment door at noon while I was halfway through reheating leftovers and watching a documentary about shipwrecks. I ignored the first knock, assuming it was a delivery. Then came the second, firmer, more deliberate. When I opened the door, there she was. Still Haley but dimmed, no makeup, hoodie over sweatpants, her hair pulled back into a bun that looked like it had been slept in. And her expression, it wasn't anger or smugness or even embarrassment. It was something I hadn't seen from her in years, maybe ever, uncertainty. She looked up at me. "Can I come in?" I didn't move. She gestured to the hallway. "I don't want to do this here." There was a long pause between us, filled with the kind of weight that only builds when the silence itself becomes another form of conversation. I finally stepped aside. She walked in slowly, as if she wasn't sure she'd still be welcome even after crossing the threshold. She sat on the edge of the couch like a guest in a stranger's home. I stayed standing. She rubbed her palms together, took a shaky breath, and said quietly, "I messed up." I didn't respond. I let the silence do what it needed to. "I didn't think," she continued, staring at the floor. "I really didn't. I just got so wrapped up in everything. The venue, the seating charts, making sure everything looked perfect. And when I saw that there weren't enough spots at the head table, I should have fixed it, but I didn't. I just figured you wouldn't care." I raised an eyebrow. "Wouldn't care about being shoved by the toilets on your wedding day?" She winced. I know it sounds awful now, but at the time I thought, Leo doesn't make a fuss, he never does. "And that gave you permission to treat me like a coat rack?" She flinched again but nodded. "I deserve that." There was another silence, not as sharp as before, but still cutting. She looked up at me, eyes glassy now. "Mason and I, we're in trouble." I said nothing, let her sit in it. We already submitted the down payment forms, the contracts in escrow, and now the seller's threatening legal action if we can't come up with the rest of the money by the end of the week. "And the honeymoon?" "Well, we tried to cancel, but it was one of those no refund package deals. And Mason's crypto got wiped out when the market crashed last month." Her voice cracked. "I know this is my fault. I didn't even open the envelope. I just assumed. I thought it was there, and that you were just being dramatic. But then I opened it, and I saw the note. And that's when I realized you weren't being dramatic. You were being done." I leaned against the wall. "You always assumed I'd just take it, no matter what. You took my help, my time, my money, and you never once stopped to ask what it cost me to keep giving it." Tears now, silent but steady. She didn't wipe them away, just sat there, letting them fall. "You're right," she whispered. I didn't say anything, let her sit with it. Finally, she looked up at me. "So what now? Are we just done forever?" Her voice cracked on the last word, and I could tell it wasn't a performance. This wasn't her trying to guilt me or get something out of me. This was the moment she finally understood the weight of everything she'd thrown on me over the years and part of. Me wanted to say yes, wanted to close the door on her the same way she metaphorically closed the door on me that night, taped my name to it, and called it a seat. But another part of me, the one that still remembered her as the kid who cried when I scraped my knee in 3rd grade, who used to sneak Oreos from the pantry and split them with me in the dark, knew that this wasn't a moment for cruelty. This was a moment for consequence. "No," I said quietly, "we're not done forever, but we are done with how things used to be." She looked up, blinking back tears. "I'm not your safety net, I'm not your wallet, I'm not your backup plan. If you want to be in my life, you have to treat me like someone who matters, not just someone who pays." She nodded quickly, like she was scared if she didn't agree fast enough, I'd take it all back again. "And the money?" she asked, so softly I almost missed it. I sighed, walked over to my desk and pulled the envelope out from the drawer. I held it up, then tore it in half. "I was never going to give you a check," I said. "I was going to set up a trust, something long-term, something responsible. But I needed to know you saw me, that you didn't just see what I could offer." She bit her lip, her face crumbling. "So that's it? No money, no quick fix?" "No quick fix," I said. "But maybe, if you and Mason get your act together, and if you actually show up as a sister, not a user, maybe in a year I'll help you start something, with you, not for you." She nodded slowly. She knew better than to push. When she left, she gave me a quiet hug. It wasn't dramatic, no promises of redemption, just a quiet, heavy squeeze that carried more meaning than any speech she could have rehearsed. Weeks passed. Haley stopped posting wedding photos. The honeymoon never happened. The house deal collapsed. I heard they moved into a modest apartment downtown with creaky floors and a shared laundry room. A far cry from the Instagram dream, but maybe exactly what they needed. We didn't talk much after that. Just the occasional text, a birthday card, a meme shared at 2 a.m. No more requests, no more guilt trips, just 2 siblings trying to figure out if there was a bridge left to rebuild. But for the first time in a long time, I wasn't holding the whole weight of that bridge alone. I had set it down, and I wasn't picking it back up again unless someone was willing to build from the other side. That was the ending I chose. Not dramatic, not explosive, just done.